It all began on the cold, dark morning of July 20th. For weeks we had been planning for this day. Now this was the day that would be climbing America's Mountain. Hello everyone, my name is ForeverElite. Welcome back to another Story Saturday. Today's topic is about the time when my brother and I did climb one of the most famous mountains in the United States or maybe even the world, who knows. Now, based in my city is this massive mountain known as America's Mountain, but its official name is called Pikes Peak. This is a mountain that is over 14,114 feet tall, or 4,301 meters for all the other noobs. Now, the trail that leads up to the summit of this mountain is about 13 miles long. So, not only is it super long, but it rises about 1.5 vertical miles in elevation. So, essentially, you are climbing up like a whole length of a mile and a half, like vertically straight up. So it's like, yeah, it sucks. I'll just say it. It sucks. It's a hard hike and it takes forever. Now keep in mind, at this point, I am a 14-year-old out of shape child. Now my brother, who I'm doing it with, he's 4 years older than me. He's actually in the United States Marine Corps. So he's in shape and I'm not. So we've been planning for this day for a long time. I wanted to do this just like before my birthday hit so that I could, just say I did something, because this is a mountain that everyone who lives in Colorado or in my city sees pretty much every day. However, not very many people that live here have actually hiked it. So I wanted to be one of those people that have done that. So we've been planning for this day for so long. So finally the day arrives. We wake up at around 5 or so in the morning. We eat our instant oatmeal. And then it's time to begin the summit to Pikes Peak. So we begin at around 6 a.m. and start the ascent. Now the first part actually sucks a whole lot. It's like a very steep zigzagging path that leads to like a flatter area. It's about a mile or so long and it's completely uphill. So like your body is not warmed up for this yet. So it really does suck. So I pretty much wanted to quit within the first 15 minutes. It almost did, but my brother told me to keep going. I did not have much endurance as a little 14-year-old child. I'll just say that. So he actually did put on a bunch of music. He had a Bluetooth speaker in which we listened to music to basically ignore the pain that was in our legs. So that was good. And it was only about a mile or so until we got to the flat land. And so we were really enjoying the flat land. We were just enjoying the scenery and stuff. And then it began to rise again. So at this point, it was pretty much all straight up for the rest of the time. And it sucked. So as we were hiking, we were just doing our thing. There was this guy. We just look behind us and we see this guy. He's probably maybe late 60s, early 70s. And he's jogging. He freaking has jogged the entire path that we just did, and we were all dying, and he's just like, he's 70, and he's just freaking passes us while jogging. So the thing behind that is we saw a lot of people doing this because there's actually a half marathon that people run straight up onto the, up the mountain. And it's a half marathon, or you can do the whole marathon, which you essentially just run up and down the mountain again, like straight. And so I can't even imagine doing that. That'd be so terrible. So finally we arrive at a place called Bar Camp. Now the trail we're on is called Bar Trail, so we eventually arrive at a place called Bar Camp. And this is essentially the halfway point before everything gets even steeper and even more harder. So we spend about 20 minutes here just to drink water, we eat food, and we even spend a little bit of time, just feeding the chipmunks and the other little critters we see on the way. So we give them some sunflower seeds, and then we basically use the restroom, and then we're on our way. So after another 30 or 45 minutes, we get to tree line. Now, for any of you that don't know what hiking is, like if you don't hike or anything, there's a certain point when you're on a mountain that's called tree line. Now, this is when the ground is so cold and frozen that trees can no longer take root in it, and so there are no trees past that point. It's legit just a line of trees, and after that point, there's no more trees. And so we're just like, okay, this is when it starts to get hard. So at this point, it becomes foggy. Now, that's not what you want. So it's very foggy, very cold. We're all just shivering. We try to put extra layers on and stuff. And then we begin our long hike up to the summit. So about halfway past tree line, we do stop. We eat a little bit, we drink. And I basically chug an entire 16-ounce bottle of Gatorade and then continue the hike. Now, chugging liquids very fast when you're super thirsty is not a good idea because you start to get stomach cramps. And that's definitely not fun when you're about 13,000 feet in the air and you have nothing else to rely on. So that's not too good. And finally, about an hour or two later, we finally get to these things called the Golden Steps. Now the golden steps are the last little bit of stairs that are super difficult. So they're just like huge, like 2-3 foot stairs, I guess. And you basically just climb over those, and it's a huge rock field at the very top of Pikes Peak. And you guys might remember that from my I lost my iPod story, was when I lost my iPod in that rock field. But yeah, so that's where we were at this point. But once you get past them, you are essentially home free at the top of this mountain. And that is such a great feeling. So we arrive, you know, and we're just like, oh my gosh, we just did it. We take a bunch of pictures, you know, we're really celebrating and stuff. It's such a great feeling. And then you're home free. So we arrive, you know, and we're at the top, and there's a very large gift shop for people that, like, you know, tourists. So there's 3 ways to get to the top of this mountain. You can either hike it like we did, which is the hardest, or you can take the highway that was built, and you can drive up it, or you can take the train. There's a train that actually leads up there too. It's like a cog rail. So we decided to hike, obviously, but there's a lot of tourists up there. So it's pretty busy, so they had like a huge gift shop up there. So we get to the gift shop, and at the top of the gift shop, there's like a place where you can buy donuts. Now, this Pikes Peak gift shop is known for its donuts. Like, everyone hikes up there or drives up there to eat their donuts because they're really not that great, but they're just really famous up there. So people go up there, and they're like made fresh on the spot. You can watch them make your donuts and stuff. It's pretty cool. And so, you know, my brother and I, we get about 4 donuts each, and we eat them all. And then I basically just go into a booth and fall asleep. Yep. So we're just hanging out at the top, and I fall asleep. And meanwhile, my brother was like awake, and he was just, I don't know, he's probably on his phone or something. And he's like, well, yeah, when you were asleep, a bunch of people just stopped and stared at you. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. So a bunch of random tourists just stared at me. So, I mean, you know, if people don't stare at you when you're sleeping, is that a normal thing? I don't know. Anyway, so my brother and I decided to take a bunch of pictures at the top, and then we were super sore, and we were both in a ton of pain because we could barely move, and that hike really destroyed us. So we decided to take the train down. And the train tickets were about $40 each, so it was a very hefty amount. But, you know, I'm glad we were able to do it. There's just, I don't know, there's just something about hiking to the top that tourists don't ever get to experience unless they do it too. So it's just like that pride you feel of knowing that you hiked it. So I'm glad I really did it, but I think 1 hike per decade is fine for me. But I mean, if you come to Colorado and you like hiking, I would highly recommend this hike. It's actually pretty great. So anyway, guys, that is the story of when I hiked Pikes Peak. If you guys did enjoy, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, guys. And I will see you on a video on Wednesday. See you guys.